shit. Oh, we are back.
Put
we
away
are
that
back.
fist. Put away that fist.
I like the fist. It's fun.
Jet doesn't like it.
Jet doesn't like it. Okay, that's
Jet
fine.
what Jet says goes here, buddy.
Not on my show. Not on my show. I have the final word.
Jet, come in here, buddy.
Oh, shit. No, don't bring him in here. No, I'm good. All right. I'm good. No more fish. What's going on, Movie Dojo Army and chat? Everybody watching right now, hanging out with us today on another episode of Versus, episode number 15. That's right. Number 15, rocking and rolling, keeping it growing. And the legends, that's right, the martial arts Avengers, the Kung Fu Avengers are back. That's right. Filmmaker, martial artist, Kyle Wong's in the house. Hall of Famer author, Kung Fu Santa Rick Myers. That's right. Frank Jang, the master of remaster, has returned. And my brother from another mother, Eric, the Asian movie enthusiast. That's right. We are here hanging out, doing what we love doing, which is talking about Kung Fu films and movies in general. We love doing it, and we love talking about Jet Li movies as well. And we're gonna talk about two Jet Li classics today. That's right. Once Upon a Time in China and its sequel. And this is another recommendation from good old Rick. So this is another tough one. You're 2 for 2, Rick. Actually, when we announce the third one at the end of the episode for next week, you're 3 for 3. But yeah, these tough ones make these Versus episodes a lot of fun because I really like both of these movies. And, you know, unfortunately, over here in America, my introduction to Jet Li was Lethal Weapon 4. Now, I like Lethal Weapon 4. It's fun. I'm a fan of the series. But that was my introduction. And I was just like, oh, man, I got to hunt this guy out. So I went to the video store, got lucky, and found Fist of Legend from there, enjoyed that. And then my friend at the time had Once Upon a Time in China 2 and the first one on VHS. That's right, old VHS copies back in the day. And both of them blew me away. It blew me away. And then after that, I went to the theater to see Black Mask. Because that's what we get over here in America. That's what we get over here in America. Sorry, guys, we're not going to release any other classics. You're getting Black Mask, goddammit. But, you know, over a long period of time, Eric even got me to... enjoy parts of Black Mass as a guilty pleasure.
Got Karen Mock and Lau Ching-Wan, man. I can watch them all day.
Oh, man. Movie Dojo Army is here already watching us, hanging out. And let's go ahead and get into it. So don't forget, those of you that are new to Versus that are watching right now, we will be talking about spoilers so we can get into it. And we will pick a winner at the end. And for fun, I'll show the poll results from the YouTube voting. And, what's that shirt there, Rick? Going to show us the fashion show today. Love it.
For the first one, we got Hero. We got Hero lined up here with Jet right in my tummy with my beard pointing at Jet. My Dumbledore beard pointing at Jet.
I don't know. Frank might have you beat today.
I have the Astro Boy T-shirt, my friend.
That's right, Frank. Bring a football shirt to a baseball thing. bring some sushi to a dim sum restaurant. Yeah,
I was deciding what to wear, and then it was either this one or the Alien T-shirt. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll save the Alien for next week, but this week, gotta be Astro Boy.
Yeah, but Frank, you work for Tai saying you should have Chinese T-shirts all over the place.
Chinese T-shirts don't have 3XL size, Rick.
Well, then I'm screwed.
Good point. I tried to get them. I tried for years to get people in Hong Kong to commercialize their own product, and they would not do it.
Yeah,
I bought a 3XL T-shirt in Hong Kong. The guy swore that it will fit on me, and I wore it. It's like my half of my tummy was sticking out, and it turns out 3XL in Hong Kong is similar as XL in US. So no way.
Whenever I went to get clothing in Hong Kong, I always said Samo size. I want Samo
size. Yeah, so I guess I'm screwed then. I'm two Frank Jangs put together, so that's not going to happen for old Samurai over here. But it's all good. It's all good. Oh yeah, just go ahead and get into it. Oh. Shout out to Eureka, because we got old Frank here. That's right. got the box set. Chat, Movie Dojo Army that is watching. This is the best these movies have ever looked. The Blu-ray trilogy from Eureka. Make sure you guys buy it. It is amazing. These movies look brand new.
They're
Just came out.
even better than the Hong Kong Blu-ray. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Get an all-region player, people. It's worth it.
It is. It is definitely worth it. All right, let's go ahead and get into it here. Once Upon a Time in China. That's right.
Oh,
not in Hollywood where they make fun of Bruce Lee. We're not gonna.
It's on my sleeve.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Poster behind Kyle, and it's
nice.
Utilizing my TV for something for once.
Frank teleported.
Yeah.
He teleported, but we'll go ahead and get it. All right, we'll go ahead and get into it right now. All right. Once Upon a Time in China came out in 1991. Plot synopsis: late 1800s, Foshan, Guangdong. Wang Fei-hung trains men in martial arts to help defend against the foreign powers already holding Hong Kong and Macau. He looks after cute 13th aunt, who's just returned from England. Lots of fight scenes. Wow, IMDb, you're one of the worst plot synopsis. I can't believe that is real. That is real. Oh my God. I am not making that up. That is real. Cute Auntie 13, lots of fights. Wow. Very professional. I'm sure
Frank,
Rick will go into a little bit more detail when we get to Rick.
You want to do a tag team plot?
Yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
What do you mean tag team plot?
Huh?
What do you mean by tag team plot? I mean, you
In other
start
words,
and
I
I
can
finish,
start,
or
and I'll tag off, and you take over, and then you can tag off with me, and then I'll take over. We can do it in chapters.
well, the first movie has a pretty complicated plot, actually.
Yes, it did. But the most important thing about this movie is that it's not a Jet Li movie; it's a Wong Fei-hung movie. And also, by the way, Choi Hark would take issue with you, Samurai, by calling it a Jet Li movie. As far as the reason why Jet didn't do a fourth is because Choi Hark says, "This is my movie. I made these movies.
Yikes!
It's my series." But it is the reintroduction, after many years being fallow, of the most famous hero in Chinese action cinema and probably world cinema. More than 100 movies about this character. Eat that, James Bond. Wong Fei-hung. Also, the Wong Fei-hung theme, which served as the theme song to Once Upon a Time in China, is the most famous piece of movie music in the world, used in more movies than anything else. So that's the foundation of this film. And it was a match made in heaven, Jet Li and Wong Fei-hung. Go, Frank. Take over.
All right, so Wong Fei-hung is he has his clinic in Foshan, China, and he's a martial artist, and he's also a Chinese herbal doctor. And this was during the late Qing Dynasty, late 1800, around 1890, and you have all these foreign powers. You have the British or the American trying to get a piece of China, or trying to either take advantage of it, trying to invade it, or trying to just get rich out of it. And then you have all these different warring local clans, right? You have the local gangsters, and you have the northern martial artist coming to Foshan trying to make a name for himself. So you have all these different factors combining here to create this really chaotic situation in Foshan. And with the arrival of Aunt 13 coming back from England, she's dressed up in all these Western clothes. She studied in England. So this created kind of this nationalistic conflict between the local Chinese folks and all these colonial powers. And you also have the Qing Dynasty government officials, in cohort with some of the colonial generals and commanders in trying to basically get rich or take advantage, get rich or take advantage of local folks. And then so all these things combined, leading to this clash on near the end, and finally this great fight between Wong Fei-hung and the northern the northern martial artist trying to come and make a name for himself. So it's typical Choi Hawk film where you have all these different story elements. It's difficult to catch up sometimes, but then they all kind of come together in the end and leading to this pretty extended finale. With An 13 being kidnapped, almost raped. And then Wong Fei-hung's student trying to save her. You also have Leung Fun, played by Yun Bill. He's kind of like a renegade disciple. He's switching loyalty between Wong Fei-hung. He's trying to be Wong Fei-hung's disciple, and then when Wong Fei-hung didn't take him in, he went over to the northern martial artist side. So you have all these different conflicts that finally came into their head in the last hour of the film. And this was a pretty long film for by Hong Kong cinema standards, 2 hours and 13 minutes. But it's an epic, it's an origin story. So I think it's definitely worth that running time.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, Samurai, in the future, don't go to IMDb. Go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia had the entire plot laid out.
That might be the worst one I think we've had on here.
Lots of fight scenes.
I will do that next
Lots
time.
of fight scenes.
IMDb. Well, actually, that was for a Westerner. That was a pretty good synopsis.
That just sums it up.
Yeah.
Well,
lots of fights.
Lots of fights, and the girl's cute.
Yeah. Get your beer and enjoy this movie, everybody.
Where's the fighting? Let's get to the fighting.
Oh,
There's supposed to be fights.
Oh man! All right, I'll kick it off, and then we'll go around the circle to Frank there. So yeah, again, my buddy had it on VHS, and I was like, "Man, you had these movies this whole time, and you didn't even tell me." I'm like, come on, man, share the love. But his parents, they travel a lot, so he was able to buy VHSs in Thailand and all kinds of other places. So that's how he got a hold of it, because we didn't have it over here. We couldn't go to Blockbuster Video and rent these movies. I was actually shocked. Fist of Legend was actually sitting on there, but you never know. Fist of Legend might have gotten there because of Lethal Weapon 4. So you never know. It's like, hey, let's start bringing over Jet Li's movies over here. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's beautiful. The cinematography is great. I really love the soundtrack. I actually own the soundtrack to both of these films and the Tai Chi Master, and I just really love a lot about this movie. Jet Li just kills it. This is Rick, would you agree that this is his most iconic role?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's his most famous role. He's one of the few people who have played a character who is bigger in the East than James Bond is in the West. Right, so yeah, he took on this iconic role, and I don't think anybody disagrees that he was absolutely perfect for it, as if he was born to play it. Yeah. And he remains, I think, the quintessential screen Wong Fei-hung, who was also played, I might add, by Jackie Chan.
And Drunken Master too.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And then Vincent Zhao.
Yeah, Vincent Zhao, and of course Kwon Ta King was the original who was in.
Gordon Liu played him too, right?
Yes, he did. As a matter of fact, he did. Well, Kal Young had acted in several Wong Fei-hung movies as a young man, and also choreographed some of them as he became an action director. And so, so he made his own. He made Martial Club, which was his young Wong Fei-hung movie.
Great movie.
But most people don't know Jackie was playing Wong Fei-hung in Drunken Master, or that Gordon was playing Wong Fei-hung in Martial Club. But everybody knows that Jackie. Right. And also, I think even Gordon and Jackie would agree that as a kung fu master, Jet is the real deal. He's not a movie kung fu master. He was a kung fu master first, and then became a movie star after that.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. You have to continue, and so does Kyle.
Well, before I continue, I saw Kyle's reaction there. We mentioned Vincent Zhao. You don't like Vincent Zhao, man?
No, I'm just saying that Vincent Zhao actually took over in that little bit too, and then continued on playing him in a China series, I believe, and then even recently in a couple other films, including Kung Fu League.
Unfortunately, he's going down with the Wong Fei-hung ship, because China. He needs to keep working. Donnie has blackballed him, and so he kept working, and he did several of the most recent Wong Fei-hung movies produced in China. which China is using to denigrate the character.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
I'm actually a big fan of Vincent Zhao in the part 4 and part 5 of the series. I thought he did a pretty good job, actually.
I love Vincent Zhao. I think he's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's great.
As a kung fu guy, he will never diminish his kung fu except in these recent Wong Fei-hung films.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, part 4 is actually one of my favorite in the series.
I agree with you. Get Eureka to do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are like hard to find. I had to get those on like some bootleg third party releases. But yeah, back to the film though. Cinematography is great. Soundtrack is great. Martial arts are really good. You get a lot of high flying wire fu action, but it's here's the thing with the ladder fight finale, which is insane. It's insane. I appreciated it right at the start. I was like, dude, this is crazy. When I was watching it with my buddy, I was like, oh my God. Now rewatching it after all these years, I appreciate it a lot more because think about it, how long it must have taken to first come up with all these set pieces to put together in one big finale and then pulling it off, you know what I mean, with the budget they had. And it's just like, it's really something of a marvel. But I see, some casuals probably thinking it's silly and why are they flying around? This is ridiculous. And I'm kind of like, look, all right, Hong Kong action movies nailed the whole superhero type action sequences before the MCU came along. Okay, All right, we wouldn't be having some of the high flying fight scenes in the MCU and comic book movies if it wasn't for Hong Kong cinema. All right, they helped pave the way. So, but yeah, it's rewatching it again to prepare for today. Really enjoyed the first one a lot. I have a lot of love for it. I love the fight in the rain, and of course the finale fight at the end. But I don't want to talk too much. I want to give you guys a chance to shine. But phenomenal. I don't really have anything really negative to say about it as of right now. All right, Kyle.
So I'm about to say something so controversial yet so brave.
Okay.
If you do say so yourself. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I tried to recollect this film when I was young. My grandma did not have this in the collection to watch when I was growing up, and I'm very sad about that. So literally, last night I watched both of them back to back, and seeing this from fresh eyes, and seeing how Jet Li really immerses himself as a kung fu master, but also as an actor himself to really put himself forward as Wong Fei-hung. It really shows who he put his trust into and how he portrays Wong Fei-hung. Seeing like the story unfold where he's taught to teach his own militia and then running his own business too. Like, I can't remember if it was in your book, Rick, or somewhere else, where basically if you were a martial artist, you also had to learn medicine also, because you had to learn like the healing portion too, to just understand. And I liked that aspect of him being a martial artist. He also a kung fu master. He had to be also a healer at the same time. So I appreciated that aspect. And then his relationship with 13th Aunt, that it's always this weird kind of clash in between, especially the shadow play. I appreciate the shadow play that they have, like at these moments, like, oh, she's getting close, and then she would just look at the shadows like, oh yeah, let me just fantasize about this. And then he takes a second and looks at the shadows like, okay, I can't think about that. And yet I can't believe Yen Bu's in this as Foon. Ken Chung and Jackie Chung are in this as Wong Fei-hung's disciples. I was like, Ken Chung's in this? And oh wow, he's actually fighting. Oh. And Jackie Chung being in it, I almost couldn't tell it was him until like you strip away the buck teeth and everything else, because this is one of the 4 Canto Pops of Hong Kong here, and he's playing like this kind of like character that you rarely see him in. And I'm going, holy crap, it's Jackie Chung. But yeah, like seeing how the story unfolds, where even when guns are involved, how the Americans are trying to like take some of the Chinese as slaves into America, and that alludes to like them taking them down there to dig for gold. And I was like, oh great. And yeah, that scene itself where Wong Fei-hung and 13th Aunt go to this opera play, and the local gang starts attacking under the guise as the opera troupe, and that causes the Americans to actually start firing upon the audience. And just that scene alone was very emotional, seeing that. And even when Wong Fei Hong is taking everyone back to his clinic to heal them, he finally sees like the bullets, and that moment where he says like kung fu is not enough against this, and I was like, oh shit, this is that's shown like that growth of like how traditional of how his kung fu and how China is supposed to evolve, but yet he's trying to evolve, but trying to understand it himself too. And then that you get to see that when 13th Ant is kidnapped by the local militia, and Iron Vest Yim, holy crap. Just that guy alone. Just that fight alone between Wong Fei Hong and Iron Vest. The first fight, I will add, really visually beautiful with the rain and just how Wong Fei Hong is just not trying to fight him. He's like, "What? Well, no, let's not do this." And then basically, because Wong Fei Hong got arrested, the Iron Vest Yim just gets the win. Other than that, like I appreciated the fact that they were both in the same boat, like Iron Yim and Wong Fei Hong, understanding that kung fu is not enough, especially when Iron Yim gets shot, and then near the end where Wong Fei Hong uses the 2 bullets and just kills the American guy at the end. I was like, that is really well done. Yeah, just flicking the bullet right to getting a headshot. And I even noticed this too, where I seriously thought it would be stereotypical of 13th Aunt would be saved by Wong Fei Hong or Fun, but no, like she actually tries to fight the one guy off, and even like the women that were just captive, they even fought with her and then killed the local gangster. And I was just like, this is a pretty solid film. And the only downside I would say is just how it took like all these like entwining stories just to get to this one point, just to this one point of coming together. But other than that, it's a pretty solid film. I would agree that, yeah.
Nice. Quick question for Frank. So I'm assuming Yoon Biao was actually older than Jet Li, right?
Correct.
Oh, how funny is that?
I know. Yeah.
You could the performances from both of them are so good it works.
Yeah.
You know, it actually kind of works. That he's kind of the bumbling. Knows some
kid.
kung fu. He knows some. But
Yeah, it's too bad he only appeared in the first film too. I mean, Max Bach did a pretty good job, I thought, but I mean, Yoon Biao is like one of the highlights of the film for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we could bring it up now, Rick. Do you know why Yoon Biao was not in the second one?
Oh, sure.
I've always was curious.
Oh, well, is it? Should I? Are you all set, Kyle? Can I take?
Yeah, of course.
Take it. Okay.
Yeah, it's all yours.
Yeah. Here's the situation. Choi Hark, this is his movie. He basically wrote it. He had a couple of collaborators. He was a filmmaker who was trained in America at a film school, I believe in Texas. And he was bringing all his knowledge, just like Zoo Warriors of the Magic Mountain and the other movies he did. He wanted to push forward the entire genre. He wanted to make his great kung fu movie. And so he also wanted this to be star-studded. All the characters in this movie, all of Wong Fei Hong and his students, are all well-known characters, having had about 100 movies before them. I mean, Kent Cheng is playing Butcher Wing, who is played by Sammo Hung in The Magnificent Butcher. And Bucktooth was an attempt to upgrade the famous Cantonese comedy character, the buck teeth and all the rest of it. These are all iconic trademark characters. So Yoon Biao signed up for one film. Jet Li signed up for one film. Everybody signed up for one film. And then, of course, because, this is how cinema works. Everybody was worried that this movie may not be successful. Oh, they may not accept this new form of Hong Fei Hong. They may want it to be more traditional. But of course, it was a huge hit. And also, it was really close as to whether Jet would be in the next one, because this movie is basically Jet's armor of God, in that for the first time in his filmmaking, he got injured. He broke his I think shin bone in the or the bottom half part, a bone in his leg.
Ouch.
As a kung fu person, you don't want that sort of thing, which is why there are behind the scenes footage of him during the ladder sequence, sitting there with a cast on his leg and a cane, watching his stunt people do all the work. And from then on, and people were beginning to, again, the press was trying to compare him to Jackie. Go, Jackie does all his own stunts. And Jet goes, I'm not a stuntman. I'm not a movie star. I'm not a filmmaker. I'm an actor. And the more you know about Kung Fu, the better you can enjoy this movie, because, again, Jet Li is a Kung Fu star. I will do a quick explanation if I haven't done this for you before, other podcasts and things like that. Martial arts is one thing, it's fighting. Martial arts is the fist and anger and muscles. Kung Fu is at least 6 things. Martial arts is one thing, fighting. Kung Fu is internal, external, mental, physical, martial, and healing. So just like yin yang, if you look at the yin yang symbol, one is not bigger than the other. They blend with each other. So it's not like martial or healing, it's martial and healing. If you're a real Kung Fu student and you're learning real Kung Fu, not what Americans say is Kung Fu, because they want to get people who like Bruce Lee into their schools, into their dojos, and to get their belts. Dojo is a Japanese term. Belts is a Japanese martial arts system. If you understand Kung Fu, you know that, just like the dragon and the phoenix, just like the yin and the yang, you can't do one without the other if you're learning it correctly. If you're all about being badass, again, samurai, the fist. If you're all about,
hey, I like what I like. All right.
I love what I love, which is, I appreciate great martial art movies too, but I also know the difference between boxing and football, baseball and football, sushi, and the dub. I know the difference, and I appreciate the difference, and I don't mistake one for the other. And I don't judge one for the other. The Raid is awesome. Ong Bak is awesome. Not Kung Fu. Very little healing involved. Very little. But this is Kung Fu. Lots of healing involved, equal to the martial. And so that's why he is such a great hero, because the whole idea of this is the sequence where he broke his ankle. When he does that kick on that and breaks the ladder, that's, I believe, the shot.
Ooh.
Where it's over. And he sort of went like, okay, all right, I'm a Kung Fu guy, I'm not a movie guy, and Kung Fu guys don't knowingly damage themselves. That's why my Kung Fu form is called Stop Fighting. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. And the Kung Fu, highest form of Kung Fu is not to fight, to make your enemy your friend. In any case. So this is Choi Hark's. Now, Jet was very happy, and I was very happy with Lethal Weapon 4, and I'm glad people discovered him, because just like Bruce Lee, when people saw Jet, even though it was a very minor role, and they had him do a silly, From Russia with Love watch thing, he was it was still more impressive than anything else in that movie. So he looked really good, and it was a good showcase for him, so he could get a lot of money for his charity. Meanwhile, I got everything except for the reason that we got Lethal Weapon 4 and also we got Black Mass. Fred Weinstein was doing his absolute utmost to sabotage Asian cinema in America. What he did to Hero, which his company released in America, is shameful. Absolutely shameful. What he did to Shaolin Soccer was shameful. I mean, he was actively trying to sabotage it. Some people have told me he was doing that because he was trying to protect American action directors' jobs, but I think that's bold. It's Harvey just likes to have power over them, whether it's women or what he might call chinks or that crappy cinema. When I asked him directly why he was sabotaging these movies, he said, "Oh, I'm making them better. I'm making them that Americans can accept."
Yeah.
Nature to Fist of Legend and Hero. Yeah, let's do it. Sabotage. So that's why, unfortunately, they didn't want to bring Shaolin Temple. It's a good idea that they didn't bring Shaolin Temple 2 over. That was pretty wacky. But martial arts, I used to love that movie, and then I watched it over again, and I started going, "Oh dear, this is very." I'm gonna have to know Chinese before I can watch this. But martial arts of Shaolin, and again, the more you know about kung fu, the better these fight scenes are. It's just like all the great fight scenes, like the fight scenes in martial arts of Shaolin, directed by La Leong, starring Jet. I mean, they're doing, and also he's borrowing, as you can see, even in that sequence, he's borrowing some of the advances that Jackie Chan brought to fight scene, adding the dust. And also, you notice, even though he's doing the fists, the most effective move he makes is the open-handed. And this is classic kung fu, because in martial arts, you have to use all your muscles and all your strength. Oh, punch you right in the face. While in kung fu, as La Leong says, the soft powering the hard. In Tai Chi, every single strike, every single devastatingly effective strike happens within an inch. So that famous 1-inch punch, everything in Tai Chi is 1 inch. And it's usually the finger or the leopard or the, there's a lot of names for this one. This is the leopard style. But yeah, the open hands, the finger, far more powerful. All right, I'm done. Come on. Go on. Stop me from talking anymore.
But what do you think of the movie, Rick? What do you think of the movie, Rick?
Rick, were there any things you would have tweaked about the film to make it better? Were there any negatives? Or you like, they didn't need that, or you like it the way it is?
No, you see, it's funny. I'm gonna show my hand here. The only improvement you possibly make to this movie was what Choi Hark did with the sequel.
All right.
The mix of this film. When I first watched it, and I should also mention that I did the audio commentary for the American release, a solo commentary, for Columbia TriStar for this one, and the AV Club called it one of the best audio commentaries. So it's my best audio commentary, a solo audio commentary. And again, when I did it, that was before I could not improve. No, I'm bowing to you, Frank. Believe me. Who did the audio commentaries on the Eureka 3-volume set?
I don't think there was any commentary done on that. This was before I got involved with Eureka. So.
Oh shoot! Because I wish they had used mine. I would have loved to. But in any way, because it is one of my better ones and probably my best. But I didn't think Once Upon a Time it could be improved, and then I saw 2. Oh well. The only thing that could beat Once Upon a Time in China 1 was Once Upon a Time in China 2.
Okay, Mike Leader did the commentary though.
Mike Leader and filmmaker Arnie Venema.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. I happen to listen to it. If anybody listens to it, then listen to mine and tell me how it is.
All right, Eric.
Yes. The first time I saw this movie back in the day, I did, I did think the runtime was a little bit long, but the last few viewings I've had of this, I don't think so anymore. This film feels shorter than it actually is. I think the story and the conflict work really well in it. And as a Westerner, I just find it interesting to see potential negative Western influences on other cultures in the past from the perspective of those cultures. So something like The Hidden Blade, the Japanese film, that had a lot of commentary on the potential negative impacts of Western culture on Japan. And you see some of that here with China, which I find to be quite interesting. And then it gives it kind of like a historical and cultural significance from my perspective as well, looking at films like this. Also, Rosamund Kwan's character down the stretch, I did have concern for her character down the stretch in this film. I think they did a good job there. There's definitely a sense of danger there, which I appreciated. Early on, there were a few moments where I giggled. I like the scene where they fry the bird with the camera. That was a good moment. And also, the martial arts choreography. I like it when movies crescendo. You start off good. You have some good scenes peppered in. I like the umbrella scene was pretty sweet. There's a pole fight, the fight in the rain, and then you crescendo it, and then you have that fantastic finale, which really satisfies. It almost reminded me like the use of props in that reminded me a little bit of the finale at 8 Diagram Pole Fighter. Because you're just like, how did they do this? Like, how much time, like you said, Samurai Guy, how much time did it take to do that scene? Now, there's some people that we know, one of our friends who will go unnamed, who didn't really care for some of these films because there wasn't an explanation for how this character was able to do all of these crazy maneuvers. We need in the West, we need the explanation for something, you know what I mean? Did he take a special tonic? What happened, And I think that, unfortunately, is still a barrier for Western audiences for these types of films. But it works. It really does. One thing I will say, people who are fans of Yun Bu, who might go into this expecting him to really lay the smack down, he really kind of doesn't in this. He gets his butt handed to him a lot in this film, which is probably consistent with his character. But that's one thing I think. I don't know if it would have benefited the film or not, but I would have liked to have seen him go off a little bit. And then Kent Chang, I always love seeing him in films. He's actually in one of my favorite thrillers called Run and Kill with Simon Yam, which is just phenomenal. So anybody who hasn't seen that, I recommend that. But I always like seeing Kent Chang in the movies. He just adds something. I always like him in this. So this is one where, again, I think the spacing out of the fights, even if they're short, very nice throughout the entire film. You don't go huge stretches with no action. So that's kind of important for me for pacing. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to complain about with this one. I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Let me just quickly give you some footnotes for a second. First of all, Yun Bu is not going to go off the thing because he's playing a character that has been played 100 times before. So he's playing that character. He's not playing Yun Bu. He's not playing any character. And so all these guys were doing stuff. And again, if you had seen the previous 100 movies, you wouldn't, like all of the Asian audience, you wouldn't have had to ask for an explanation. They had already seen it.
Right.
My one big criticism that I might have gotten that I forgot to mention on my turn is that the one big flaw in this movie is usually the flaw whenever they cast Lilo actors. They suck. Lilo actors, the Westerner characters, never get pros to play those parts. And they always get, they just go down to, so, yeah.
Share them.
What's the building in Hong Kong, Frank, that they always go to the foreigners?
Share them.
Yeah, they always go to the government house.
The Foreign Correspondence Club?
Yeah, Correspondence Club or Governor's House or the or what's that famous hotel on the on
Peninsula?
Huh? The Peninsula? They'll just go in and say, "Anybody want to be in a movie? Anybody want to be in a movie?" And you can tell that they're going to fight people in a movie who have never acted before, and of course they're all dubbed. But it shows you the difference between somebody who knows how to act for the camera and just some jerk they got from a hotel lobby. So that's the big flaw with this movie.
Okay.
Right, take it.
I like the priest. I thought the priest did a good job.
Priest did okay.
Yeah.
The priest did okay, right? So yeah, I agree with Eric. When I first saw this movie, I saw this movie in Great Star Theater, San Francisco Chinatown, and I remember this movie was like long. You know, I thought, wow, you know, when is this movie going to end? When I first saw it, of course. And now I'm looking at it again. I agree. It's like this is just the perfect length. You know, it's just the right length to get all the stories across, get all the characters across. And like Rick said, they're all playing the right character. You know, like the Hong Kong and Chinese audiences know these characters by heart from watching watching black and white series, the Kwanta King and Check In. I mean, they made 100 movies in that black and white film series, so everybody knows these characters. So it's just natural to see Yun Bill getting kicked. You know, getting his ass kicked in this film, because that's how Leung Fu used to be in the original series too. But yeah, I mean, a lot of nice visual flourishes in this one. I like some of the nice visual touches in one of the earlier scenes when they were fighting on the streets. They were using all these street board signs, the street board, the signboard, the boards, and I thought that was a very nice touch because. You know, the sets were very authentic. I believe this film was not shot in China; it was shot in Hong Kong. So, but the sets were all made like your typical Qing Dynasty street alley merchants and stuff. So, and to see, them also being used in a fight scene, that was very gratifying. And then they're not just a decoration. That the set design are not just a backdrop. They were used to the full. Because the ladder fight scene, I mean. Just the production design and the use of ladders and all those straw, those big pouches. I mean, those are just amazing production design. And there are also some nice visual touches. Like when Yun Biu first saw the Northern martial artist played by Yam Sai Gun. He turned around in the rain. He noticed his presence. He turns around and we saw him with the two spear, in his neck.
Yeah.
That was a nice introduction. I really like that. And also. Yeah. During that climactic scene with Jet Li, as Jet Li, jumped up to the higher level and started fighting the goons, the fellow henchmen. There's a nice shot of the Yam Sai Gun looking up, looking at him, just looking. It's like all of a sudden you have this static shot of him just looking at Wong Fei Hong, and it makes you wonder what was he thinking when you look at that. It's like it almost makes you wonder: is he thinking maybe I'm not his, maybe I couldn't defeat him after all, or he's just checking him out and seeing how he fights those the minor hooligans. So a lot of nice little visual touches there. Of course we have the romance subplot between An 13 and Wong Fei Hong. And I agree, she was a real damsel in distress near the end. She got pretty rough up real good. So that was nice. And then the fight, it just crescendos, like Eric said. All the fight before were good, but it all led up to this not great, ladder fight. I also like that fight between Yun Shen Yi and Yam Sai Gun. When they were challenging each other with that three move challenge. That was a nice little fight. With Yun Shen Yi using the dagger and stuff.
I'm Tiger.
That was Yun Shen Yi, of course, was one of the.
It's all Tiger did the whole movie.
People somehow. People somehow confuse this film as being martial art choreographed by Yun Wo Ping, but he did the sequel. It was Yun Shen Yi and two other Yun brothers who did this first film. And why I personally felt, especially near the end, it relied a little bit more on the wire than I thought I liked. It's still very solid, very nice fight. They're all really authentic. They're powerful. They're creative. Nothing more to say. This is a fantastic film. I think it was a great start to the series, and it was a great origin film.
Let me ask you: was there a lot of wire work before the ladder fight?
There was a little bit, maybe not as obvious. In the ladder fight, there was some shots you actually see the wire, like especially behind Yam Sai Gun. When he got flipped and stuff, you can actually see the wire. But there's no choice. I mean, with the way that ladder fight was created. I mean, it was set up and designed. You had to use wires, right? You know, and also with the
And also-
the ladder flying around. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, it was
Fight in the rain.
unavoidable for them to use wires. But
Also, Jet getting injured probably didn't help.
right,
That's
right.
true.
But yeah, I mean, this is a solid film. It's a great start to the series. And again, like Eric said, I agree with Eric. Like when I first saw it, I thought this is a little bit too long. But now I'm glad it's that long. You know, it's great.
Yeah, when I saw it also in a Chinatown theater, and I wanted it to last forever. I was sitting in the audience just going,
Right. And I also want to mention, the nationalism theme in this film. Cherry Hawk has always had all this political theme in his film, and while he went all out, like in Swordsman 2, and of course in The East is Red, where you have basically Hong Kong, China, and Britain, representing by all these different factions. But here, so I mean, you have the theme of nationalism, right? The upholding the Chinese, the protecting the nation from foreign invaders and stuff. And it was not overly done. I thought it was very nicely done. It wasn't exaggerated. Obviously, some of the Western characters were a little stereotypical, but then that is to be expected. And I didn't think they were overdone as well. Of course, the political era group have a total 180-degree turn in the sequel. But to me, this was to me, Cherry Hawk is really using this Wang Fei Hong story to express his fear about the future of China, Hong Kong being taken over by China. And as the film progresses, that theme becomes more and more prominent, but definitely more so in the sequel.
Yeah.
Nice. Well said. Yeah, phenomenal film overall. Very, very good. And if anybody wants to keep talking shit about the end ladder finale fight, go watch The Musketeer. Does anybody remember that? Yeah, nobody remembers that shit.
No one remembers that.
Yeah. And I'm the only reason I remember it is because they basically ripped off the end ladder fight at the end of that movie.
And did it poorly.
Yes. I agree. All right. For shits and giggles, should I read the plot synopsis for the next one? Just for fun?
These plot synopsis for number 2.
Just for fun. Here we go. All right. Hold on one second. That was legend. That was a legendary plot synopsis in the beginning. Oh, man. It's going to be funny. All right, here we go. Once Upon a Time in China 2, very next year, 1992. Plot synopsis. Arriving by train in Guangzhou, 1895, the trio fight off the White Lotus followers who want to kill all foreigners and the cute European-dressed 13th aunt. It's not Kung Fu Master Dr. Wong's last fight. What? All right, this is hilarious. All right, starting next week's verses, we'll be using Wikipedia. But yeah, that's pretty funny though. It's actually kind of funny to make fun of it.
You'll have to edit them though because they're very long.
Okay. Right,
or
copy
have
that.
me do it. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'll probably just do that just for fun. Just have you guys do it. But yeah, see, Auntie 13 is still cute in this one. So the plot synopsis is right about that one. But yeah, I was not expecting this one to blow me away just as much as the first. Donnie Yen, baby, man. Donnie Yen, really. I mean, now, Rick, did he get nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this film, or am I mistaken?
I don't believe so, but I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I can look it up.
I think both films won Best Action Choreography, though.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, Yuen Wu Ping did this one, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And okay, so the ladder fight, phenomenal.
Oh,
The White Lotus cult. Well,
yes,
go ahead,
it
Rick.
was. Here we go. At the
Okay.
12th Hong Kong Film Awards, it was nominated for Best Film, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, Donnie Yen,
All right.
Best New Performer, Hong Yan, Best Art Direction, Eddie Ma, Best Cinematography, Arthur Wong, Best Film Editing, Marco Mack, Best Action Choreography, Yuen Wu Ping, and it won. It also won for Best Original Film Score by Richard Yun and Jackie Yo.
Nice.
It also won for Best Original Film Song at the 28th Golden Horse Film Festival, while being nominated for Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor. In this case, it was Max Mock, not Donnie, and Best Action Choreography.
All right.
There you go.
Wow, cleaned house there. Look at that. But yeah, really, really, really enjoyed this one. Same thing. Great cinematography, great soundtrack. Love the fight scenes, love the characters. I did miss Yoon Biao though. I did miss him. But then again, it seems like with Foon's character in this one, he didn't really do much. He was just kind of there. You know, he did a little. You know, when he was on screen, he was okay. The actor that they got did a good job. But I don't know. I just kind of missed the old the third dragon. I gotta miss him. So, but it would have been nice to have him in there, even if it was for a few scenes. It would have been nice to see you and me out there. But yeah, again, thinking, you know, of any negatives, I can't really think of any major issues I had with the movie. Maybe one tiny one, and that is, I love both encounters between Donnie Yen and Jet Li. They're filmed beautifully. When we get to the staff fight and Donnie Yen is testing him out, and the way the camera movement is following them and tracking them during I was like, and that music and the way things were filmed, and just I was sitting on the couch and my buddy just like, dude, this is fucking dope, man. Like, this is like so good, you know. But my only tiny pet peeve, even though those are two major highlights, both of them fighting each other, my only little tiny pet peeve, little nugget, is that Donnie Yen didn't get one hit on Jet Li. He didn't get not one hit at all. I think the villain in the first movie actually I think he hit Donnie Yen 3 times. You know, he had to cheat. Excuse me, he hit Jet Li 3 times in the first movie. He had to cheat with the hair whip and the blade. You know, he had to be sneaky about it. But the leader of the White Lotus cult actually gave Jet Li more of a fight in terms of he actually, you know, put Jet Li in danger. I don't know.
That is rare for a Donnie Yen film. Very rare.
A lot of Donnie Yen film.
Yeah, again, I love both of those fights are phenomenal. They're amazing. I love them. I just it would have been nice to see, you know, the villain just give, you know, I don't think Jet Li was in danger at all. You know, maybe the character when he brought out the cloth stick, you gotta love that. That's an amazing weapon. I was like, what is happening? And Donnie Yen brings out this cloth stick, which was a lot of fun. Jet Li was, you know, Wong Fei-Hung was a little bit in danger, I guess, a little, but it would have been nice to get if Donnie got some hits. I think I wanted them to fight hand to hand at one point a little. I think that would have been a little extra bonus for the old samurai if they went toe to toe there. But other than that, that's a very tiny nitpick complaint, because both of their, you know, interactions when they fought each other was phenomenal. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. And I as soon as the White Lotus cult showed up, I was like, oh shit, we got some legendary weapons of China characters in here, man. I was like, this is awesome. But yeah, these types of characters, Rick, this cult, it's been through a lot of martial arts films, right? Like
yeah, absolutely. They're a famous group in actual Chinese history. Mm-hmm. So
right.
Yeah.
Copy that.
They're not movie characters. They're real people.
They're real characters, yeah. They're real
right,
cult.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, other than that, really nothing that negative to say about it. Kyle, go ahead.
Okay, so let's see. How would I start this one?
You hate Donnie Yen.
By saying,
you hate
I'll tell
Donnie
you how. By saying that, how do I start this one?
Yeah.
That's a good way to start.
Yeah, because this one, like, I will say that the fact that this one actually continues on properly, not where, like, okay, we're a year later and this happens. This actually continues, like, Wong Fei-Hung's, like, wanting to keep tradition, but also just evolve with what he is known, and like going off with Fun and at 13 to Guangzhou, and he attends a medical seminar where it's like all Western medicine and traditional medicine, and then forgive me for not knowing Chinese politics, but yet he meets Sun Wen, basically. So, yeah, Sun Yat-sen, who's basically the revolutionary that helped shape China and Hong Kong mostly, I would say, right, Frank?
Well, he brings China into sort of a more of a democratic nation.
Yes.
Until the communists took over, of course. But
Yeah.
And in Taiwan, of course, I mean that without him, there wouldn't have been Taiwan.
And the fact that it doesn't play too much of a political overtone as most films do, but this one was just like, you see how Aunt 13, she wants to learn to fight with Wong Fei Hong, and he teaches her, and then there's like that little backlash of him just like treating her like a student. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that this is how I usually talk to my students." And he just backpedals, and I realized like that makes sense to certain martial arts instructors or kung fu instructors do that most of the time to their students, and there's not really that much there is respect, and also just that how instructors just give that type of instruction and expect you to understand it compared to bringing emotion along. The introduction to Donnie Yen's character, you get to see that he's an equal to Jet Li's Wong Fei Hong, and it's interesting like how he serves under the Qing government, and yet he has to adapt in a way of his own sense, along with like trying to manipulate the British Council of like, yeah, give us this is who we're after. Even working with the White Lotus clan to just basically okay, we're gonna let you guys go in here, and then we'll make it look like this. It was really interesting to see how the fight between and I believe like Hung Yang is basically Jet Li's stunt double throughout like the series, and for him to actually finally get a proper villain character, him like the priest, that fight alone, just stacking up the tables and everything, it was just beautifully done.
It's insane.
And it's insane.
Do you think it's more insane than the ladder fight?
It's almost equal, I would say.
Okay.
Almost equal. Until to the point where he gets impaled, and I swear to God, I was just waiting to say it. He gets impaled on the statue, and it's right through the stomach. And I was like, I wanted to say it. I wanted to say Kali Ma.
Kali Ma. Kali Ma. Shut the door.
Om Nam Shivam.
Om Nam Shibai. Om Nam Shibai. Oh,
I had to bring that back, everybody. But it didn't go that route. So, yeah. But I appreciate
he was a fraud.
Yeah, he was a fraud, just even like how Brother Luke felt like, what's it called? Brother Luke felt sad for shooting the child that was involved in that cult, and I'm kind of sad too now that I watch this film. Like, the only disadvantage I would say from my standpoint is that when Wong Fei Hong hit all the little kids in the thing, my recent-minded thing went in meme territory, and when the White Lotus sect goes into that room and the kids are ready to fight, I just thought in my head like, where's Anakin? Where's Anakin just bringing out his lightsaber ready to obliterate those kids?
You're all over the place. Kyle's all over the place today.
Right now,
are you on drugs?
No, not that I know of. All I know is that film alone, just that scene alone, just made me do all the weird memes, and I was just like, shit, stop doing this. But the final fight between Donnie and Jet Li really showed that they were evenly matched up until the end, and then even Brother Luke dying for his belief to get, and both Wong Fei Hong and Fun trying to get that dream to Sun Wen really worked really well in the end. And that's the only downside I would say. The disadvantage is me thinking of all the memes. That's it.
You're the negative. Okay.
I am the negative of all this.
Welcome to Bizarro World. All right, go ahead, Rick.
Well, this is one of the rare sequels, along with Godfather 2 and From Russia with Love, that arguably, well, it certainly excelled in terms of box office. It made more money than the first one. And it was more critically acclaimed than the first one. And it was a more than worthy follow-up. In fact, I'm fairly certain that Choi Hark, being Choi Hark, and I've met him, I admire him enormously. I've met him, it's safe to say, many times. And yeah, I respect him enormously. Watched the first movie and knew what he did wrong or didn't do as well as he wanted to, and said, all right, this time I'm gonna nail it. And in fact, he improves virtually everything, including the Western actors. There's no clangingly awful line reading by the white actors. In fact, the ambassador, I think it was the ambassador or the diplomat who gets killed, I felt something for him when he was, it was an excellent job.
And he's played by Paul Fonarov, which is actually a pretty popular local actor, yeah.
Right, local actor and also writer.
Right.
And other things. And he said something very nice about the writing I did for Celestial Pictures when I did the English on the back of 300 of the Celestial Shaw Brothers DVDs. He said to them, just have him do it. He likes these movies more than I do. So, in any case, so that was really good. And also, when I went to see this, and I saw this originally in the theaters, I didn't miss Yun at all, and I didn't miss Jackie Chung at all, because I felt, having seen other movies, one of my favorite Wong Fei-hung movies is Magnificent Butcher, which was Yun Wu-ping's best performance from a kung fu standpoint, certainly, as Wong Fei-hung, and highly recommended. Also, one of the calligraphy fight at the beginning of that movie is one of the great kung fu fights of all time. But I felt Yun and Jackie Chung were overcast. That doesn't mean that it was cloudy out. It means that they cast two well-known actors in these supporting roles. In other words, I wanted to see the character. I didn't want to see the actor. And when Yun and Jackie, who I, again, admire enormously, were in those roles, all I could see was them. I couldn't see the characters. And in this one with Max and whoever played Bucktooth, and I think, didn't they eliminate Bucktooth?
They eliminated Bucktooth.
Yeah.
Only Liang Fun remains, right?
Yeah, so Choi again saying, all right, this is not going to work. And I mean, I did my homage to the character. I used them. Now let's move on and not put in Cantonese comedy cliches or stereotypes. And let's see what other I had in my notes. I'll wait for David. No one has mentioned up until now, and apparently you were kind enough to save it for me, since I had been mentioning Shaw Brothers. The person I was so happy to see in this movie was David Chang. David Chang, who's one of the great stars of the Chang-Che movies for the Shaw Brothers. And this movie, he gets, this is probably, if not his greatest performance, one of his greatest performances.
Also dubbed his own voice.
Wonderful performance, just really gave the movie a beating heart. And his sequence at the end when he's trying to say, he's saving the booklet and the flag. Oh my gosh, even thinking about it again, I was thrilled for the first one, but I felt really honest emotions. And that's what this movie has. It has a perfect mix of action, drama, comedy, romance, pathos, meaning, politics. It's certainly one of Choi Hark's greatest achievements. And and again, Tai Chi, the word, and the yin yang sign, which is a representative of Tai Chi, the word means balance. And this movie was just Tai Chi up the wazoo. It was just so wonderfully balanced. And it's little wonder that Yuen Woo-ping has made some of the best Tai Chi sequences in cinema because he understands it. And you can see him involving that. That's one of the reasons that I love the fight against the cult more than I love the ladder fight, because the ladder fight was great. It was all kung fu, but everything had an underpinning, and also was a tremendous example of my favorite kind of kung fu fight, or my favorite kind of screen fight. Everyone's fighting in character. You can distinguish everyone's fighting style. They weren't fighting with what I've labeled now mum. They weren't doing mum. Mum is now the main thing we see in action movies. Mum stands for mixed up martial arts. This was pure kung fu. One guy, and also you see the difference between kung fu being practiced by someone evil and kung fu being practiced by someone good. Kung fu is this balanced 6-part self-improvement system where if you're good, you do literally become more powerful. Because if you're evil and you don't have love in your heart, you're weaker because you're using your muscles and your anger more. And if you use your chi and your sense of caring, your empathy, you will be far more powerful. And that's what was so awesome about this movie, because what you were talking about in terms of Jet fighting at the end of the movie and Donnie not giving him a shot, that's because Donnie was so fucking evil and stupid and conflicted. So just like at the end of the fight with the ladders, Jet knew the guy was done when he throws his cue behind his head, and the guy has to cheat in the first movie. He has to cheat, and Jet finds it. And again, look at Jet looking at that little knife at the end of his pigtail, and then cutting it off, and look at his expression when he cuts it off, the look of disgust and disdain. And then at that point, that character's dead to him, and he's not even going to give him any face at all. Face, of course, which is a Chinese concept. Give them respect. He's not giving them any respect. And it's the same thing at the end when he's taking on. It's kind of like, all right. And if you watch him the way you watch Donnie in the Ip Man fight, he's almost all defensive. He does not want to hurt or kill Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is a cop, maybe a corrupt one, but he's an authority figure. And he sort of like allows Donnie to kill himself. And also, I unfortunately had already interviewed Donnie a couple of times, at least twice by the time I saw this movie. So the final fight was a little colored by what I knew about Donnie. I could pretty much guess what happened in that final sequence. That was a period of time when Donnie was going into the press, and there was a rumor that he would never fight anyone on screen who couldn't beat him in real life. And so it's kind of like, and I'm sure Jet, knowing Jet, is just going, oh, please, it's a movie, okay? Just come on. But and I bet there was a lot of negotiation. There was a lot of chatting because this was around also at the time that he fell out of he broke up with Yuen Woo-ping. He deserted Yuen Woo-ping and he left Yuen Woo-ping. And it wasn't until many years later when I reintroduced him at a lunch we were both at that they saw each other again. And I'm pretty sure there was a lot of conversation about his death. I shouldn't die this way. I should live. And all this sort of stuff. And you can kind of see that in the fight. He was very reluctant to die. That shot where he puts up his fist and he's like trying not to bleed. It was kind of cool. But also they had to kind of add the special effects afterwards. And Choi Hark's going, don't worry, you'll die.
Donnie, it's not your movie.
Is that a new meme we're going to start here? Yeah. Donnie, it's not your movie.
And by the way, yes, you're right. Hung Yang-yan, who played the cult leader, was Jet's stuntman who was brought in after he hurt himself, after Jet hurt himself in number 1. And everybody loved him and respected him so much that they gave him bigger and bigger roles throughout the series. and not only was he a stuntman for Jet, but he was also Ironfoot, Iron Leg,
Clubfoot.
Clubfoot in the subsequent ones. So yeah, all in all, I was really happy after the first one, but after the second one, I was in love.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Eric.
I would like to begin with a question for Rick. Now, I remember years ago, I remember seeing an interview with Donnie, and I swear he said this, but I don't remember if I'm thinking of the right movie. And Donnie was doing an interview, and he said, yeah, when we were doing the scene with the poles, they laid the poles out on the table, and Jet ran to the two easiest poles, and he picked up the two easier ones. And I said, all right, I'll handle the two harder poles to maneuver with. Is that a true story?
I couldn't tell you whether it's true. I mean, he never said it to me.
Okay.
It sounds like him.
I thought for sure I heard that at one point.
It also, I mean, since it was, do you know where you saw the interview? Because it was really a Guaylo thing to say.
I don't know. I think it was on it was either on an internet or a DVD special feature.
Okay, because there's no such thing as an easier or a harder pole. There's only an easier or harder approach to it. But also, I completely understand. And again, Jet would not have had to have run. He just would have taken the ones that were easier for him because he's.
Maybe he said lighter instead of easier. Maybe that's what he said.
Easier is more is likely, and also the kind of thing Donnie uses to keep score, which is something what I consider a real kung fu student to talk about. That's just nonsense. That's again ego, and ego should be separate from if you're going to really learn all 6 parts of kung fu in balance. But yeah, it sounds like Donnie.
Confirmed.
So this film opens with two dudes eating burning incense sticks, and then one guy gets kicked in the balls and doesn't even feel it. That's how you see the movie, baby. I like these dudes. These White Lotus dudes.
And I've seen that, by the way. I've seen that in real life. The ball kicking.
Yes.
One of my teachers was known as Iron Balls.
Really?
He was. Oh, he's the one, in fact, who did my astonishing painting of Damo. I have a 4 by 3 foot painting that he did while standing on eggs. Incredible!
Goodness.
We have to do another podcast about my trips to Taiwan.
Sure.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, but that's kung fu. Again, that's kung fu. But go ahead, carry on. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's good. Yeah, I do like the way the film is shot. I might even like the way this film looks even a little bit more than the first one. Just the way the lighting and the way it's shot and the cinematography is very nice. I do think, obviously, I mean, the 2 finale fights in this are just amazing. Yes. And one thing I will notice is that Wong Fei Hung's attitude towards the White Lotus cult fight, he had some attitude during that scene. Like, he was taunting those guys pretty strong. So I really I was like, wow, and I was taken aback, and I liked that. And he was all over the place, almost like patronizing them and everything like that. So it elevated the intensity of that scene dramatically, I thought, that fight.
He was really
And then now another weird connection I'm drawing here. I don't know. Is Mortal Kombat Samurai Guy. Do you think Liu Kang with the kicks took it from this movie?
The no shadow kick move, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of Wong Fei Hung's signature moves.
Yeah, shadowless kick.
Shadowless kicks. Shadowless kicks. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
They borrowed it because this was 92, right?
Yeah.
I think Mortal Kombat came out in 95.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Pretty much, definitely, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So I just noticed, I drew that comparison here. And then, I mean, I don't know what else to say about these fights. They're just fantastic. I like, the scene I like the whole scene with the brick wall where the guy's trying to escape and there's nowhere to go. And then, Donnie makes the mistake of creating a small hole in the wall. And then they have to fight and have to manipulate it to where he makes the hole bigger during the fight. I thought it was really neat. I really liked that scene. And it's just the imagination that comes into some of these choreography and the fights is really, really nice. And obviously you get these two actors in their prime going at it, which is nice to see. So yeah, I again, this one's really good flick. The only thing, if I had to make a little bit of a criticism, there were times during the opening hour when the White Lotus Clan is not on screen. It felt just a tad dry, a little bit drier than the first film, I thought. But I don't know. It was just something I felt during that opening hour. But yeah, this is a very solid sequel.
I also want to make mention, I meant to do this before. Another reason that the cult fight is so amazing was the emotional foundation for it. And when that child is shot, spoiler alert, the reaction of David Chang, the whole thing is so brilliantly structured, that fight, that culminates in the shooting of the child. And, the moment when that child stands up and says that, and makes her little statement and then suffers it's just so brilliantly done. And again, at the end, David Chang saving the flag from burning. Oh, it just, the political, just great. Go on, Frank. I'm in love.
You want to hear
Frank hated it. Frank hated it.
Yeah, Frank.
You guys want to hear a true Donnie Yen story?
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Tai Seng did the condensed version of his TV series Fist of Fury, and so we had him do an audio commentary for the condensed version. And he was in Burbank. He was in LA at that time, making Blade 2. He was trying to make a name for himself in LA. He was making Blade 2.
Oh, by the way, he made a name for himself.
Oh, I know.
I'll tell you that name that he made for himself after.
Oh, sure. But
yeah.
So anyway.
Oh man.
So we booked the studio in LA to record the audio commentary. We told him what time he needs to be there. So we booked the studio. Minimum has to be 2 hours, right? We booked, the minimum time to book the studio is 2 hours. It was $150 per hour. He showed up 90 minutes late, and we had to extend the studio session by another 2 hours because he showed up late. And he was blaming, he's all, he said, the LA traffic, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so because of him showing up 90 minutes late, it cost us an extra $300 to record his audio commentary. So that's the true story.
Wow. Oh.
And this is what I've heard from my friends who are stunt arrangers and stunt coordinators and action directors. He came to America to make a name for himself by appearing in Blade 2 and Highlander 2, I believe.
Endgame, yeah.
4.
Endgame.
He made a name for himself, all right. He made a name for himself, much like Terry Hatcher's name in Tomorrow Never Dies. Which is, if you'll notice, he disappears from both movies within 10 minutes. Because the word is, on the street, babies, on the set, that his attitude on those sets was stunning, unfathomable. Everybody on those movies hired him because they respected his work so much. And he showed up, and he didn't have a chip on his shoulder. He had the Rock of Gibraltar on his shoulder. He was just throwing his weight around in intolerable ways. So sure enough, it was like, thank you for stopping by.
Mm-hmm.
You can go now.
All right. So this sequel was much more streamlined, right? Whereas in the first film, you have multiple plots, multiple characters, maybe a little bit, extra fat, if you can kind of say it, but still very entertaining. And like I said, Troy Hart ties everything together, near the finale. This film is much more streamlined. The story is much more compact. You have less characters, and as a result, everything feels just more so focused. And also because you already know these characters from the first film, you already have an idea, and so it's just very gratifying, to see like the romantic subplot going further between An 13 and Wong Fei Hung. It's nice, even though and I felt Max Mock did a terrific job substituting, Yun Bill for Lan Fun. I thought he's a very believable character, believable Lan Fun. He just stepped right in, and I had no problem just watching him playing what Yun Bill played in the first film, and of course the fights are tremendous. Yun Wo Ping choreography is great, and it's virtually almost like a nonstop fight action sequence, one after another, and also the location is also very focused. The majority, almost the entire centerpiece of the film happened at the consulate, that ambassador had mentioned. So like almost a good 1/3 of the film was set in there. Then we would go straight to the White Lotus Cult temple, and then the final scene at the shrimp market. What again, like that incredible final 15 minutes is just incredible. All that two major fight scenes. And, you have this great fight scene with the White Lotus Cult leader, played by Hong Yan Yan. Fantastic introduction to Hong Yan Yan, who of course, went on even greater acclaim as Club Food. But then this was a wonderful introduction there. I think he's a highly underrated action choreographer in Hong Kong action cinema. But then after that, you also have this fight with Donnie Yen, this amazing staff fight, with the real staff, bamboo staff, and then later on with the cloth. I mean, that is just astonishing. This creativity of it, the brutality of it, and of course like Eric said, it moved the story along. They're trying to escape, right? Langfu's trying to escape, and they have to trick Donnie into making that hole bigger and bigger for an escape. So the fight also serves the purpose of the story, which again is very rare nowadays in these movies. But what elevated this sequel for me was the political allegory. You have Sun Yat-sen crying out loud, father of Chinese democracy in this film. All right, I mean, that's a real character. That's a real life character. We're talking about real history here. So, and to have all these allegory about White Lotus Cult in essence is really, Choi Hak is really equating White Lotus Cult with China. He's saying this is what China is going to come and poison. You can say Hong Kong or whatever. You can say think of whatever you like. To him, White Lotus Cult is whatever is bad about China in general. And then you have all these very subtle political talk about the clock, the watcher. Like David Chang telling Sun Yat-sen, Dr. Sun, your clock, your watch moves faster than mine. Right? I mean, that just means your mind, your wish, you're hoping for a better future for your country. So obviously you're way ahead of us. Your thinking is way ahead of us. And then the kids to me represent Hong Kong, the future of Hong Kong. At the end, when David Chan said to them, you guys represent the future. I hope you will see I hope you guys will grow to see a brighter future, more hopeful, better future. What is that? That's obviously him talking about hopefully Hong Kong can see a better future even after the handover. So, remember this film came out 5 years before the handover. So this is on everybody's mind by then. In the first film, maybe not as much. It's still 91. But this was at the tournament, right? And you have 5 years left. So this is on everybody's mind by then. So obviously Choi Hak is reflecting his own feelings about the handover through this film. And that just took the film to a whole other level, and then as he progresses Swordsman 2 and the East is Red, the political allegory will become more and more obvious or blatant, and sometimes even overdone. But to me, this was perfect. But the allegory in this film was perfect. It served the story very well. You can see into it. He's not telling you directly what he's trying to tell you. But you can feel it. And at the end, when Sun Yat-sen opened that flag, you see that flag. Obviously, that's the democracy flag. That will eventually become the national flag of Taiwan or the new republic. You can't help but wonder. That's what Choi is saying. This is the future. So the more democratic, a more democratic China is the future. So this just takes the film on a whole other level. I mean, fight incredible, characterization incredible, the humor just right. Acting great, but yeah, I mean, this was something special. That's all.
Yes, phenomenal. And cloth stick, y'all. What y'all know about the cloth stick? Come on. What y'all know about the cloth stick? Badass. I love this original fun weapons that they come across the Hong Kong action cinema. but just like what Frank was saying, just beautiful fight sequences, man. I lost my shit when I saw this staff fight. Sitting on the couch, watching an old school VHS tape on a big old bubble TV, and I was just like, "This is phenomenal, man! This phenomenal movie." Are you guys ready to vote, or is there anything else you'd like to say about the film?
Yeah, two more things. Yeah,
Go for it,
about the cloth thing. I remember the theater, man, when he started doing this, when Don Yen picking up the cloth and started doing this. Yeah,
Yeah.
like here.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, the entire theater just kind of like wow, you know. And then when Wong Fei Hong slashed his throat with the bamboo, and then you saw the blood gushing out.
Yeah.
The whole film went ooh. I mean,
Nice.
yeah,
Love it.
that's what watching these films in a crowded theater with a big crowd is all about, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
the shared experience.
I wish I
Tragic-
would've
Tragically,
seen it in
we
theater.
will probably never see this It's Like again
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because Troy's wishes did not come true.
But thankfully, shout out again to Eureka. Non-sponsored. Non-sponsored. If you'd like to sponsor me, let me know. Hint, hint. Frank, Samurai
I'll let them
sponsors,
know. I'll tell them.
Yeah, let them know.
I told them about the podcast. I told them I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah, let them know. That'd be great. I would love to,
Yeah.
to let people know about their awesome products. I really would. All right, you guys ready to vote? It's time to vote. Now, usually we save the poll results at the end. Do you want to see it first?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Rick, I need your help on this one. I'm actually kind of confused.
What's that?
Here we go. Ready? Boom.
Oh,
I'm lost.
Wow.
I'm kind of lost on this one because you'd think they would, because Donnie Yen being in the second one, you think that would have been the more popular choice. I'm
Well,
stunned. Go
I'm
ahead.
guessing.
you haven't seen it.
Yeah, exactly, Frank. I believe that you can find Once Upon a Time in China on streaming services.
Oh,
Of course, there was an American release of the DVD with an audio commentary the AV Club called one of the best ever. I don't know.
who did that one? I don't know who.
So and it was also one of the premier releases, DVD releases from a major company. This wasn't an independent. This was Columbia TriStar, who put this thing out. So I have to assume more people have seen it. And also, Frank has made an interesting point, because you hear Frank talking about his reaction to Sun Yat-sen and the White Lotus cult. This is something that Frank knows intimately it's part of his history. And so most of the voters for these movies are probably not Chinese. So they're reacting to the one that they're closer to, and with a plot that they understand a little better.
Okay.
Or at least the underpinnings.
Okay. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a huge difference there. I was like, what in the world? I was not expecting that. But
now
we can vote. All right. I will be last, as always. Kyle? You can't pick episode 3. Star Wars episode 3. You can't pick that.
No, I was gonna pick Temple of Doom. Just for no, I almost was gonna. What's it called? I did not have an actual vote before right now, and I almost voted with the audience. But just seeing how much everything was in the first film, it is more streamlined in the second one, and just how the second one really flows much better, and you almost can see both of these films together, but you see how Wong Fei Hung is actually like evolving with his traditional sense, but also just becoming like the hero that he's known to be. And my vote is Once Upon a Time in China 2.
All right. Electric Boogaloo. Rick.
I also want to recommend to the audience, if you want to see Hung Yang at his best, as well as some really exceptional, and we mentioned this last week with the Wing Chun movies as well, see Ip Man Final Fight.
Mm.
Because he plays the main villain in that, and he's just awesome, and the movie is exceptional. But be that as it may, as you can pretty much already guess, the only thing that couldn't possibly beat Once Upon a Time in China is Once Upon a Time in China 2. So that's what I'm voting for.
All right. Eric.
It's tough.
I know, right?
Man.
You're on an island.
Max Payne.
You only have to choose one of these two.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the first one. I'm gonna go with the first. There's just something when just a tad bit of I don't know what it is. I can't even tell you why. Just a tad bit. I was into the first one just a tiny bit more. So I'm gonna pick the first one.
All right, mixing it up.
Now, if everybody jumped off a cliff, would you do it too? Peer pressure. Classic peer pressure. Shame on you. No, that's fine.
Frank, who you got, Frank?
You know, it's hard to imagine these films are now 30 years old. I still couldn't believe it. I mean, the first film was 91, and the second film 92, and it just looks so fresh. Like watching it now, it's like they were shot again with the Eureka remasters, like they were made yesterday. Troy Hart is kind of like a prophet. Now, thank you. Thank you for the chamber clap there. Thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, Troy Hart. Looking back now, Troy Hart is like a prophet, especially with this film.
Come on, Columbia TriStar, you can promote this thing.
Like especially consider what have happened in Hong Kong the past few years. Looking back at what Troy Hart was trying to say in the sequel, it's just like it's almost kind of painful to watch it again. Watching the parallel, because you essentially you're seeing these revolutionary in the film. David Chang and Yesen, these are revolutionary, and of course Donnie Yen's, the villain guy in essence is trying to crack down on these revolutionaries. He's the ultimate villain. He acts like he's a good guy, but he's the ultimate villain. And just with that alone, I would have to put the sequel above the first one. But also, I think the fight in the second film is just more grounded in reality. There's less use of wire fu, is more traditional. And I'm not saying the first one's bad. It's just that comparing the two fights, the fights in the two films, I just felt that the second film is just more grounded in reality, and it serves the story much more better. It moved the story along, it propelled the plot, and for that, I have to go with number 2.
All right. Nice.
You'd be happy to know, Frank, these will always be eternal because they do not make them like this, and they never will again.
Mm-hmm. They never can. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that's it.
True classics. True classics.
All right.
It is down to me. Here we go. I'm choosing cloth stick.
I love your fake suspense. Love your fake suspense.
You love it?
Because it had already won even before it got to you.
Wait, so Temple of Doom didn't win?
It's like a reality show. They always try to create suspense.
Temple of Doom didn't win because Harrison Ford's Cantonese wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Jump high.
Oh, we have fun.
No, we just do the Mike Tyson thing where he just tries to, you know what I'm talking about, Eric, like in Mach 3.
And now the real it's going to get real now. I mean, next week is an awesome episode, as all of these have been awesome. But what's happening now in real life, in the real life cinema world, will dictate whether it's going to be possible in all of our lifetimes to ever see a movie like this again. Because I don't know if you heard the news today. I'm pretty sure you did, Frank.
Yep.
And I'm sure you did too, Samurai, of what China is saying about allowing Shang-Chi into the country.
Actually, I haven't read the article yet, if you want to read it.
China took Shang-Chi and Eternals off the schedule slate for China, for Marvel films in China.
So what's their problem? What's the problem?
What isn't their problem?
Yeah, really.
What their problem is, it's a matter of what isn't. And
Gotcha.
they're playing a deep game, but they, as I've been saying all along, they are not happy. They do not smile upon Kung Fu, and they do not smile upon America. When it was a very short period of time when I was consultant for American businesses about how they can break into China. And unfortunately, I didn't stay in that job long because what I told them is not something anybody wanted to do in America. And also pretty much impossible. You have to kowtow, and you have to kowtow like you mean it, and you have to go in expecting not to get it. And their arrogance and their ego would take over to the point where there was no way. You have to play as long a game as China is playing, and China is sort of like designed. We're going to humiliate Guilo because Guilo's got a big, Gibraltar chip on his shoulder. So at this point, they don't want a technique, a self-improvement system that opens your mind and concentrates on excellence of the self. They want excellence of the group. They want excellence of the country. They don't want excellence of the self. And they don't want things that open your mind. They want you to have a closed mind, to follow discipline, to follow orders.
He also said that Fu Manchu, the Mandarin, was a racist character, even though Fu Manchu was Manchurian, not Chinese.
Yeah, so I'm going to be fascinated to see what Marvel does now in response. Marvel is not going to give up their continuing efforts to bring minority actors and productions to the fore. Right. Women, African Americans, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Asian, period. Yeah. So I'm going to be very curious because right now China has a big club. Because Frank, what is their standing in world cinema in terms? Are they the number one?
Box office wise, China, yes.
Well, everybody's going to be kowtowing to them, trying to get in. And so they're feeling their power and they're wielding their power. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, Exhibit A, Monster Hunter.
Yep, and well, no, that's not Exhibit. Unfortunately, and also Mulan. Disney does exceptional work, except with that terrible elf movie, Artemis Fowl, the Fowl movie, and with Mulan, which was just a travesty. So I'm going to be very curious to how Shang-Chi is. I do not want to do this at any point during Shang-Chi. I want to do during Shang-Chi going, oh, I know why they did that. Right. I don't want to do this at any moment.
I mean, by Monster Hunter, I just mean that they have the clout to just, block it from showing in China just because of that one little.
Yeah. And also they used the joke as an excuse in Monster Hunter. Right. That wasn't it was just their ticket to ride because they need to come up with something. It's China is a lot like white male casting agents. If you remember the producers, there's that great line from that song, you, not you. Casting people, well, why didn't you cast me? I did a great audition. You're too short. You're too tall. You're too fat. You're too thin. It's just an excuse. They really did it to exert their power over you, to make them feel better about their small hearts. All right, I've gone off. On Stop me again. Stop me again.
No, because I'm glad you explained it because I was wondering. I saw the article. I was like, what's going on now? Yeah. What now? So I'm glad you explained it. It's still bizarre, but yeah, go ahead.
It is. So one thing I forgot to mention is also about the two Once Upon a Time China films, how Choi Hart gives strong female characters in Rosamund Kwan.
Yes.
Remember the Better Tomorrow films? The first two films done by John Woo has pretty much weak, decorative female characters. But in the part three, Voss, right? But in part three, you have Anita Mui. And Anita Mui was an equal character as Karen Phat and Tony Leung in that film. Whereas here, again, Rosamund Kwan is a very strong female character trying to exert herself. She's not a weakling. She can take care of herself, and she is one of the permanent part of the story and also the development of the story. So kudos to Choi Hart. Yeah.
Have you ever met Choi Hart's wife?
No, Nancy She, no.
I have, and they're the two of my.
I heard something about her. Yeah.
Two of my favorite people, let alone women, is Choi Hart's wife and Chow Yun-Fat's wife.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them are the Iron Fist, and the men are the Velvet Gloves. They are super awesome. And you watch Chow Yun Fat; he's always going at these meetings and at these conferences. He's going, "Ask Jasmine."
Nice.
I met Nansen first. She introduced me to Joy Arc, and she's so let me put it this way: if Joy Arc didn't put strong women in his movies, his wife would kill him. A very strong woman.
Well, like Rick said, no matter what happens, it's going to be interesting what the future holds for cinema in Hong Kong.
But what does the future hold for Versus, Samurai? What's the future hold for Versus?
I'm getting to it. But, no matter what the future holds, like Rick said and Frank said, we will always have the classics like these films, Once Upon a Time in China 1 and 2. And these two classics that we're going to talk about next week going head-to-head, baby. That's right. Stars 3 of the same actors, and it has one of the main villains in both films. That's right. So this is a perfect versus. We got two kung fu comedies, martial arts, if Rick allows me to say martial arts. Can I say martial arts this time? Okay. We got Wheels on Meals, baby, versus Dragons Forever next week, baby. That's right. With an all-star podcast cast will be here. Frank's returning. Kung Fu Santa. Eric Kyle. Bobby Samuels will be here. Wing Chun Master Alex will be here. And, Rick?
F.J. DeSanto, the producer of the Transformers Netflix show, as well as the producer of virtually all the Batman movies, will be here.
There you go.
Jackie Chan fan number 1.
Nice. So it's going to be fun having him on the show next week. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, thanks again for watching tonight, for voting, for hanging out with all these badasses. Frank's always an honor. Rick's always an honor. Kyle, I don't know.
Not badass. Not badass. Good ass. Not bad.
Good. I was going to say great ass, but if you want good ass, we can do that. Always great having you, Kyle. Don't forget.
Thank you for having me.
That's right. Stay tuned for Kyle's short coming out soon. Night Watch coming out. Make sure you follow Rick's podcast. Buy all his books. That's right. Buy all of the Eureka Blu-rays.
And another plug, Troy Hawk's Time and Tide coming out this month with my audio.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's a fun movie, baby.
There you go. And subscribe to Eric, the Asian movie enthusiast. It's always a lot of fun hanging out. There you go. He's got the DVD right there. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're going to have my audio commentary.
There you go. So now you got to buy it again, Kyle.
Yeah.
The most amazing thing about that movie is that he made that after making Double Team and Knockoff.
Oh, yeah.
That's like Jackie improves after a devastatingly awful wrestling experience.
Oh, man. But yeah, it was a lot of fun hanging out with these awesome people today. And a quick reminder, just like last week, we transferred from Kung Fu to horror last week. We're going to do that this week as well. So tomorrow, if you guys want to hang out, Movie Dojo Army, 4 p.m., FX artist, that's right, practical effects and makeup artist Joe Castro is going to be here hanging out with the Movie Dojo Army tomorrow at 4 o'clock, talking about horror films, sci-fi, and all the awesome stuff that he has done for films. He is very talented. He's going to be here hanging out with us tomorrow at 4 p.m. And then we're going to segue to Monday. Me and Eric, I'm sorry, Eric, but we're going to do it. Is it really that bad? That's right. Another popular series here on the channel. Is it really that bad? Monday's episode will be about The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, I love that film.
Is it really that bad? We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. All right. Frank likes it. There you go. All right. So we're going to talk about that Monday. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching, liking, subscribing. Make sure you share this video, and we'll see all you badasses tomorrow. Take care, guys.